Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Folks, welcome back to Toasting the Business. I have to tell you something. It's getting a little steamy out there. Would you not agree? Megan? Oh, boy. Okay, never mind. Forget it. Yes, she is agreeing while she's putting blueberries in her mouth. But the good thing is we have a cool, refreshing blueberry martini to help us right now. And Megan's filling in for Lynn because Lynn had to go do some business thing. So we've got that. And who is Megan? Everybody's like, who is she? She is the founder of Perspective, who is our sponsor for the podcast. Perspective without an E. If you're thinking about what do I want to do for a career, maybe I want to help artists get into stuff and do sculptures around the country and set up for exhibits. You might find that person on the getperspective.com website. Maybe you're thinking about being a blacksmith, or your kids are outside and they're creating God knows what, but not harming the dog. You might want your kids to sit down and watch some videos on getperspective.com, and they may find a career that'll make them money and not burn the house down. But anyway, we want to thank Megan. She always plies us with wonderful libations each week, and she is the sponsor of the podcast. If you want to know more, you just go to our website, look in the show notes, and click on the link, and it'll take you right over to Perspective. And on that note, we're going to get to our guest, who has been sitting with us actually out of the studio, and we're trying to get her warmed up because she's a little nervous about talking, but she's going to do dynamite. And so we've got Emily on. Emily, I'm going to let you say your last name because I will just slaughter it.
Emily Saccenti.
Saccenti.
Yes.
Which is not the proper Italian way to pronounce it.
That's right.
What you told us just a couple minutes ago.
Saccenti.
Okay. So all you folks from Italy, give her a damn break, all right? It's not her fault. We married into this name. But anyway, we're having you on the show. Megan sent me your information a few weeks ago, and she's like, you should have her on the show. And I went and I looked at your website, Elemental Exhibitions.
That's right.
Is that right? And tell us what Elemental Exhibitions is, because it's really cool when you see it.
Thank you.
But,
so Elemental Exhibitions seeks to partner with artists and creatives to produce exhibitions of artwork that's made to be installed outside, primarily in venues like botanical gardens.
okay. What's the difference between an artist and a creative?
So that's a great question.
So
an artist is perhaps more formal. So maybe someone who's formally trained. A creative can be someone like a landscape designer. I work with a landscape designer on some ideas for upcoming shows, and he really thinks more about how to design some features to put into an existing outdoor space.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for explaining that. I've never known that. I'm like, well, I think they're just creators.
That's sort of like the difference between an artist and a craftsperson. Like a craftsman might be a blacksmith, but a blacksmith isn't necessarily an artist.
We found out we're going to logic back from the math. If this, then that. Is it all true, or could it be false? It's like, I don't know the answer. So, oh, that's cool. I like that. Good explanation. So you help artists get their exhibits into outdoor spaces for people to come enjoy.
That's right. So I think what I do is really beneficial for both artists and creatives and botanical gardens or other outdoor venues. So it helps artists to get their work out there to be seen by people, and hosting temporary art exhibitions really helps drive attendance at botanical gardens too, and keep people coming back, and drives membership and revenue, and there's a whole host of benefits.
Do you work with Chihuly? Is it Chihuly or Chihuly?
It is Chihuly.
Chihuly,
He is the master of outdoor art exhibitions for sure, and I have not worked with him.
Why not? What's your
He doesn't need
problem?
my help.
What? No.
Sadly.
You could. I mean, I think it'd be awesome.
He's an inspiration for sure. I mean, he's got it down. Everybody who's anybody has hosted a Chihuly show.
Hey, listen, Chihuly, you may have worked with the rest. Now it's time for you to work with the best. We're going to send you,
Could you please tell that to his people?
look in the show notes and you'll have the link to go to Elemental Exhibition, and then you can hire Emily, okay?
Sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. So how the heck did you get into this? Were you just like an art teacher and teaching kids how to make paper mache and you're like, screw this. I can't do this anymore.
I would never have the patience to do that. I worked for years, about 15 years in art museums. As a kid, forever, always loved art museums and wanted to just be at an art museum, and I was. And then quickly, well, not quickly, I guess slowly realized that it really wasn't that fun. And art exhibitions indoors are kind of stuffy. And, it got to the point where it felt like you needed a PhD to enjoy a show at a museum. And I moved to Atlanta with my family. I was unemployed for about 3 months and found this job at the Atlanta Botanical Garden, doing basically what I had been doing, but outside, which was an interesting set of challenges. And once I installed art outside, I realized that that's it. That's it for me.
Yeah.
Art and nature together is just, I don't know, it's amazing.
She does the Christmas light show.
I was just going to ask that. Do you?
Yeah.
Oh man, that is so awesome. Are you the one who gets all out in the big, in front of the, in front of the orchid hall? And
The
they
orbs.
have the orb. Do you do that? Do you get those in sync? No.
Fortunately, that is never my responsibility, but I know who does.
Okay.
So
Can you fire the person if they're not in sync?
no, I would never allow him.
Okay.
You could have synchronous fireflies at one point. That would be fun.
He would never let them be out of sync.
Yeah.
He comes from California. That's his sole job with the light show, is to make sure that those orbs are perfectly synced.
So last year we went to an outdoor exhibit out there. We did the cocktails in the garden,
Yeah,
and they had the giant trolls.
right.
Did you get to help? And how did that
did.
one?
Yeah, I worked full time for the Atlanta Botanical Garden for about 5 years as their exhibition manager. And then I quit to start my business, but stayed on there on a contract basis so that I could pay my bills and still do that.
Are you managing? Is that dude the guy who does the troll exhibits? Is he one of your clients?
No, he's not. He also does not need me.
Come on.
All right. Well, now we're going nowhere.
I
Folks.
know.
Thanks. All right. we're
But
done.
I definitely think that exhibition, the Trolls exhibition, was an inspiration for me and helped me realize that there's a huge market for this out there. That Trolls show, Atlanta was the first garden to host it. The Trolls were brand new, debuted there. And last I heard, that exhibition is booked for at least 4 months at a time through sometime in 2028.
It is. Yeah, we were a couple months ago. Linda and I were up in Nashville,
Yeah,
and the
very
garden
nice.
is there,
Yeah.
and we're
They're
walking
there.
around. And it's like they're the trolls again.
Yeah.
They're so cool.
You may continue to run into them around the
love 'em.
country for years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So good.
They're
So
great. I have a
okay,
question.
please.
I normally raise my hand, but I'm getting better at it.
Good job.
And then I always forget what I was going to ask. Okay, so what made you go from working for
Mhm.
somebody and
Yeah.
being like, oh my gosh, I'm tired of this. I'm going to work 70,000 times harder and start my own business?
Doesn't everyone think that at some point? I don't know. I think in my time in Atlanta, so the Atlanta Botanical Garden, the CEO there has been there 20 years, and she really sort of, I don't know if she alone started the whole outdoor exhibition thing in botanical gardens, but she was one of the first ones to host Chivalry in 2006, I think, and has successfully hosted exhibitions every summer pretty much since then. So in my time there, whenever a new exhibition would open, people would reach out to me as the exhibition manager and say, who's that artist? How much did it cost? I want to do that. We would love to get into exhibitions. And I quickly realized that gardens everywhere want to do exhibitions but don't know how, or can't afford to do things at the scale that Atlanta can, and that there really is a big hole out there that I can fill.
That makes sense. I'm
Yeah.
turning the air down. Sorry. I'm not texting anybody. I'm turning the air conditioning down. So rude. That's cool. And so
Yeah.
you're like, yes. Did you know artists like that had exhibits that you said, I know you folks. I know the process and how to get you paid and get your
Well,
artwork out there.
I think, I've worked with artists for 15 years in museums, not with as many living artists as I do now, but I think at this time it was early 2022, and the Atlanta Botanical Garden was hosting a show by a husband and wife artist team called Origami in the Garden. And so I was working really closely with them to help develop a larger scale show for Atlanta. And really, my job was to make sure that they were scaling up their work to meet the expectations of Atlanta's CEO and make something big and bold that had never been seen before. And just talking to them about how they got to where they are. And I mean, their show, they've had several versions of basically the same show, has been traveling around to botanical gardens back to back nonstop for 10 years now. So they didn't directly give me advice at first, but just I was really inspired by their story and how they went to one of the annual conferences and with an idea, and they left that conference 3 days later with a contract for an exhibition.
Wait, what?
Wow.
They went to what kind of conference? So artists go to conferences?
So
Do
they're
they
and
actually show up
creatives.
on time? I mean, creatives.
but not craftsmen.
Yes, no crafts.
Every year there is an association, the American Public Gardens Association. And
We're
that
going
is,
next week. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
that is really it for botanical gardens in the US. So everyone belongs to that. There's one annual conference that everyone attends. So the Origami and the Artist team, obviously we're already making origami inspired art, but they went to this conference and rented an exhibition hall booth, as I am doing next week. And, they just had an idea, maybe somebody would want to show these works in their garden and we could just make a bunch of them or something. I don't know.
They're not like little tiny handheld origamis.
No.
These are,
I mean, they
I'm
make
assuming
them.
they're like big.
They're all inspired by actual folded paper, but they are not folded paper.
So the one in the conference is in Boston, right?
It is this year,
So
yeah.
She was telling
Yeah.
me. Yeah, I'm going to tell you guys a great restaurant or two to
Oh,
go
I
to.
can't wait. I love Boston, but I haven't been in years.
Go to Fox and Tail.
Okay, that sounds fun.
I had questions about your show that's coming up
Yes.
at the end of this month.
Mm-hmm.
I guess first, can you tell us about it? And then I have questions
Yeah.
about the artist because she's creating this stuff for you, right?
She's so great. So I was inspired by the origami people. I was inspired by other people at this time in my career. I was just kind of bored with doing the same job, but not bored with installing artwork into gardens and just really thinking, I want to work for myself. I need to do more. And there wasn't any growth opportunity for me in my role there. So a friend of mine that I work with at the garden said, oh, my friend May Fogelman, she's an artist in Atlanta. She makes these adorable, tiny little foxes. So I looked at her website. These foxes were so cute. And I just thought, I bet she could make those really big.
Does she have the soundtrack playing? What does the fox say?
I'll say what you-
Sorry.
No,
No,
nobody needed that.
thank you. I like that. No.
No. So
So she makes some big foxes.
Well, I approached her and I said, I have this crazy idea. I want to start a company. I want to work with people like you and make, giant sculptures to go in botanical gardens. And she is just crazy enough that she was like, yeah, let's do it. So we signed an agreement to partner on developing this show to travel around, and we worked together, and she does sketches and I would give her advice on the sketches. And so we finalized a checklist, and then I started marketing her show, and now we have 5 botanical gardens signed on to show her work.
That's what, 5.
Yeah.
And it's foxes.
Well, no, it's not all foxes.
Well, that would be cool because
It's woodland
Oh,
creatures.
Yeah, the
Okay.
show's called Forest
Sorry.
Forms, and it opens at the Fernbank Museum in Atlanta on June 29th.
oh, so cool.
And we're all gonna go.
Yes, please.
How big is the biggest one? So they went from tiny to big.
Yeah. So
How
the
big?
foxes that inspired the show, there's a mom and a dad fox, and they're 13 feet tall each. And then they have 3 fox pups that are adorable, and those are a small 5 feet tall.
So small.
Yeah, but
Only 5 feet.
the biggest sculpture in the show is a stack of flowers that's 20 feet tall.
Okay, so what were you doing today? Give us like a day in the life of an entrepreneur.
Okay, today was a good one. So the exhibition Forest Forms installs at the Fernbank starting next Wednesday. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we'll take all of the sculptures. It's a full 53-foot tractor trailer worth of sculptures, 18 sculptures. we'll take them from the artist studio in Roswell to the Fern Bank and install them. So today we were at the artist studio making them ready to get loaded on a truck. So we were putting some things in crates and other things on pallets and labeling things and strapping things, and just really glamorous. Really glamorous work.
So when you help the artist do this stuff, like today, do you help them from like the beginning? It's like, I've got all my artwork here, like you're saying, all the foxes and everything else. And do you set up do you handle all the logistics for that too? And how do we get it from the studio to this place and crating it up and getting the
Yeah.
trucks? And what if
So-
we're doing multiple places?
The agreement can really vary from artist to artist. So
Okay.
right now I have contracts with 3 artists, and it's sort of a unique situation for each one. So Forest Forms, because I approached this artist to work with me and, begged her, we have a 50-50 partnership on that show. So we, in the contract, spelled out what her responsibilities are and what mine are. And so yes, for that show, I do logistical things. I book the shipping, I do the sales and book the venues and do all the contracts. And she makes beautiful artworks and figures out how to install those.
Because artists aren't, I mean, they're not great at business a lot of times, so they need somebody
Yeah.
to do that for them. That's
Right.
cool.
And I tell her things like, that's too big. We can't get that anywhere. So can you please make that smaller?
Okay.
She's like, oh, yeah, totally.
And then do you scope out the venues and figure out where everything's gonna go? And do you work with the folks, or does the artist
Yeah.
come along with you usually? Like, did she come with you and say, I really would like the mom and dad fox to be here and then the kids to be over there?
So I think this is where it's important for me to be the middleman in the situation. So yes, the artist always has ideas about where things should go, and then the host venue is like, hey, well, we're paying a lot of money for this, and I want to put this thing here. But my job is to make sure that everyone can be happy, and I'm managing everyone's expectations.
That's so,
It's really fun.
you have 5 venues with us?
Sounds terrible.
It's,
I've been doing it forever.
I have news for you. If you can speak the language to both sides, and it's a key thing, and
Yeah.
in the IT world, that was a big deal. Like that IT management was
Yeah.
part of my background.
Uh,
So when I was working with the IT folks, they're talking about blah, 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 blah. And then the business side, they can't understand each other.
Right.
So you're dealing with that. So you're a
Yeah.
great interpreter. It's just, poof.
Yeah.
It's like, what? No, this person's saying, and then they're
Right.
like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and I think that is really appealing to both artists and to host venues, because a lot of times there can be a lot lost in translation to people who don't have experience working with artists, and artists aren't salespeople and don't know how to.
Show up on time. Dude, that was, oh no,
Yeah.
that was a craftsman. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think that's definitely part of it. You know, they're built differently.
Yes. You show up on time for your shows?
Never.
Never.
Oh, no.
That's not true.
You do. You don't pull them down.
Nobody can see who we're talking
We're
to.
talking to Tommy. So Tommy Ward's sitting in the corner over there. He's hanging out with us. So we gotta do.
I want to know about forts of nature,
Okay.
because everybody built forts as a kid.
What?
So this is like
Forts of
forts
nature.
of nature.
Yes.
This is like the adult forts, but nature.
So it's an idea that my husband Rob and I had, that, often I'm talking to gardens and asking them, what kind of show would you really want? What's your dream show? And they always say something that's interactive, something that offers us educational opportunities, something we can tie into our mission, which is to engage and educate people in nature. So my husband and I were talking about it and naturally decided that forts would be great,
Mhm.
but how do we sell forts to gardens? Well, they should be nature inspired. So we just started doing some research and realized like you can make some really artistic looking structures that are inspired by natural habitats and travel them around the country.
I want
So
to go.
Forts of Nature was born, but so we've been talking about this idea forever, but my husband will be the designer and he also has a day job. So hasn't been designed yet, but people have seemed really interested in the concept. So
I'll go.
yeah.
I'll help set up if you want. I'll travel.
Okay.
I'll be a
great.
roadie.
Yeah, we need that.
Rob has a day job and a half, 60 hours a week.
That is so cool.
So I have a really boring question.
Okay.
So say these are interactive and like say there's a kid climbing on this giant pine cone.
Yes.
Say the kid falls off.
Mhm.
Who handles the insurance? Is that on the botanical garden? Is that on you?
Right. So that would be on the botanical garden. So in our contract with the gardens, we require that they insure the works liability wise as well as property insurance. So, it's my responsibility to make sure that the forts will be fabricated in the way that they're meant to be climbed on, but we don't guarantee that the garden's visitors will follow the rules.
You know
That's
those
their
little
job.
spiky things on the pine cone petals?
Yes.
You should include those. Because like technically it could be climbed, but
Yeah,
it might
and it
deter
will be
children.
climbed, but that is the garden's job.
So some
to
kid gets
not do
impaled.
that.
And
Right. Sorry
Oh,
about
wow.
them. They should read the sign.
It's called thinning the herd. Okay.
Exactly.
I tell my girls that. Walk through in a parking lot. I ask them to hold my hands. If they let go, and they tend to walk out there and you thinning the herd. So just it's tough love. People are
my
like,
physics
he's an
teacher.
asshole. When it
No.
comes to,
No.
hey, my youngest is 21 now. I didn't, they didn't die under my watch.
Yeah.
Now they're on their own. So
So they're allowed to come to the forts then.
they can come to the
Yeah.
fort. I love it. I love it. So what else are you? So 5 venues for the Fox.
For the forest forms, yeah.
What venues? Like, because this isn't just like a local podcast. People listen to this
Right.
all
yeah.
over the.
So the tour is the Fern Bank for
Mhm.
3 months. And then after that, the show will go to the Lockerly Arboretum, which is in Milledgeville, Georgia.
I know where that is.
Yeah, it's a really lovely arboretum.
Yeah.
And they don't charge admission, so everyone should go there. I
Ooh.
think it's still free to go during their open hours. And then it will go to the Bonnet House Museum and Gardens in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
And after that,
Okay,
it will
excellent.
travel to the Holden Arboretum, which is just outside of Cleveland. And then it will go to the Ann Close Springs Greenway
Mhm.
in Fort Mill, South Carolina, which is outside of Charlotte.
Okay, so when you're helping somebody pick out venues, do
Mhm.
you just like shotgun it out to all the botanical garden? Really?
Yeah,
I see.
I'm
Okay.
always developing my mailing list, and
Mhm.
I have several sources for how I add people to that. But the botanical garden world in the States is pretty small. So I have, I think, a pretty solid list of people, and I send email blasts
Okay.
or postcards, but email blasts are the most successful.
Over time, though, I'm assuming you're, besides blasting all these people with emails, you're building those relationships
Yes.
with the, what the curators of the botanical, what do they call them?
It really depends on the botanical garden. A larger garden like in Atlanta, they have a large staff and a large annual budget. They have an exhibition manager position. So
Okay.
that's an easy contact to find. In a lot of smaller gardens, you're just sort of casting a wide net
Okay.
and reaching out to the CEO or director. Marketing people often have input on temporary exhibitions, or someone with a guest experience title might play a role in deciding events like that.
And the whole point when you're doing that, you always use the word temporary. It's a temporary exhibit.
Yeah.
You're not going in, you're making sure you're not disrupting the natural order and the existing establishment of,
Right.
and so you come in, we're not ripping up shrubs or anything else,
Exactly.
putting it in,
Right.
even though an artist might be like, I really want it there.
And a creative.
And a creative.
Creative
I got
stuff
that just in time.
about that stuff.
No. And then when you leave, you make sure you leave everything the way it was
Yeah,
before you
exactly.
came in.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing this?
So I started working at the Atlanta Garden in 2017 and then left that full-time position in late 2022. So I guess I founded Elemental Exhibitions with my husband in mid 2022
Okay.
and then actually quit my job in late 2022.
Okay.
So almost 2 years.
That's pretty good.
Pretty
And
good.
you have 3
I have
different artists?
3 artists signed, 5 shows for Forest Forms. I have 1 show booked for my new Enchanted Trees tour.
What is that?
It is an artist group called Poetic Kinetics, and they are a really well-established artist group now out of Colorado, formerly out of Los Angeles, who make really big, large-scale outdoor installations for festivals like Coachella and Burning Man. They have a series of works called Skynets, and the Atlanta Garden featured one of those in 2021.
Okay.
So that artist had put together a proposal for another show for Atlanta of these kinetic, large-scale, really magical trees, enchanted, if you will. And so when I left my job in Atlanta, I pursued them for a partnership. So the temporary show, 10 Trees, and it will debut in Atlanta in 2025.
In 2025, the Atlanta Botanical Garden, the one in Atlanta or the other, now Atlanta has two gardens. They have the other one up in Gainesville, right?
Yeah.
So did they do exhibits up there as well?
They do smaller
Just
scale
curious.
exhibits up there. They have a much smaller budget and a much smaller audience. up
So
there.
it might be a way to break in a newer artist as well. So it's
Yes.
like, you're an opening act. So we got you in up here.
Right.
Let's get your feet wet. Let's make sure
Yes.
this works. And then if it works, we'll get you bigger venues.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm just spitballing right now. I have no idea if that's how it works.
Yeah,
or
I
not.
think in the botanical garden world, there is a set of large scale botanical gardens that have a history of doing outdoor exhibitions and they budget for them appropriately. And then there are some mid-range gardens that maybe do a show every other year or do smaller shows. And then there are smaller gardens with small budgets and small staff who are just dying for the opportunity to do a show, but maybe don't have the budget to do one yet.
Brooklyn. Violently poured. Well, the one the one I'm talking about in Nashville, right?
Yes, Cheekwood.
Cheekwood.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's gorgeous.
I've never been
You
there.
have- it's beautiful. It is beautiful. They've got this awesome Zen garden too.
Yeah.
Like you walk and it's Japanese Zen garden and it's only, I mean, I'm sure there's native plants and trees, but it's
Mhm.
called like
Yeah.
Japanese maples and
Right, to go there.
and they have the whole, like the real Zen, whatever.
Are you
Yeah.
talking about
Wait,
the
read
botanical garden?
Yes.
What about the Huntington?
Oh,
Oh my
the
God.
Huntington is
What?
different because
Oh,
I love the Huntington
okay.
Where is that?
in outside of LA.
Outside of LA.
Yeah,
Okay.
San Marino.
like Pasadena, basically.
Pasadena.
Yeah.
By Eagle Rock.
Sort of. I lived in Eagle Rock for years.
Did you?
Happy
Are you an
to
Angels fan or a Dodgers fan?
Dodgers.
Okay. All right.
The Huntington's different because they have their own art collection and they're very museum-y, even though they have an incredible botanical garden. They don't do the same kind of shows that I am working on yet.
What? You had a lot to tell. I mean, you had a background, and lose it. You still have it. You have a background in this. So when you go home, you went home to Rob one day and you're sitting there having dinner or something, or maybe you're just, I don't know, drinking coffee and you're like, hey, hon, so I got this idea and this is what I want to do.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it went.
What do you say?
Well, I had prepared myself for him to be like, oh, that's nice. You know.
Play teacher?
But I had thought about it so much that I really had a pretty solid feeling. And it's just like I had a pretty hard sell like in my mind. So I put it out there. I was like, this is what I think I can do. This is why I think that. This would be the next step. And he listened and he said, yeah, that sounds smart.
And
Let's do it.
How long from time to proposal to the time you said, I'm done and I'm launching this business?
It was about a month
Really?
before he named the company. And then it was
He named
about,
your company for you?
He named our company.
He's a
Is there a
partner.
company?
I know. If you go to the if you go to the website on the About Us section, it's
Yes.
both of you on there.
Yes. So from the time that I first pitched the idea to him until I put in my notice at my full-time, really comfortable job, it was about 5 months.
Okay. That's pretty quick.
Well, I knew that I would be able to continue with the botanical garden on a contract basis.
Okay. So
So
that's good. That's good.
it was
that
a
you had
leap
that.
off of a cliff, but it was a short cliff.
Yeah, but that's good. You didn't have analysis paralysis. Go for it.
What's been the hardest part? Sorry if you asked this while I was out.
Oh, we've already covered all that. And then,
Okay. Excuse myself.
I could tell you what her zodiac sign is actually.
Stop it.
What do you think it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's Scorpio or Capricorn.
Not even close.
Wow. See, I'm boring like that. That's like, what is it?
Cancer.
I'm sorry. How many months? Oh,
So-
you're a crab. Okay.
Mhm.
Awesome. Awesome. I bet that. Is that what your husband said? Quit being crabby. Quit being your zodiac sign. No, ask your question. It's legit. We
I forgot it.
what?
I did too.
What's
What's-
been the hardest
Oh,
part?
that's right.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think
Dang it, Darren.
the hardest part definitely. So I quit my job at the Atlanta Garden, and I love that garden and will forever feel that that garden has a place in my heart. So they actually hired someone to replace me, and then that person decided they didn't need my help anymore. Which was all I knew that was going to happen. But then I didn't have that work to do anymore, and the business was at a point where it was moving very slowly, and I wasn't used to getting 2 emails a day or having time to just clear out my inbox. You know, it was really hard to not be busy. I don't like being busy.
Yeah.
And I'm way too busy, and I keep reminding myself that this isn't what I wanted.
How do you feel your time? Yeah, retire, right? You better have a lot of hobbies when you
Right.
retire. Otherwise,
But I also always felt too guilty to pursue hobbies, because what if somebody emails me and I can't respond right away? Or, you know, I wanted to be available. I was just constantly every day thinking through, like, what am I supposed to be doing that I'm not doing? Or, you know, what
used
can I
to
be
be
doing
like that
differently?
We're the same.
You need to teach
I got
them.
over it though, because now I see an email, I'm like, oh, like, is the world gonna burn if I don't reply to this right now?
Right.
No,
It's because you have a schedule.
I do.
And
I
it
actually,
helps you out a lot.
yes, it does.
Mm.
I haven't been keeping up with it.
She actually has a few time.
I do have a few
Oh,
times
that's
penciled
smart.
into the schedule.
I'm not good at that.
Intentional. You
Yeah.
could,
You
you
can
could
teach
I
keep
me.
learned
it.
a lot from my business partner in
Oh,
Boston.
nice.
And he's like, yeah, you're gonna burn out. And also
Yeah.
a few advisors early on, because I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And
Right.
like, who should I be emailing? And they're just like, you know what, enjoy this time.
Mhm.
Because it's not always gonna be like
I
this.
didn't enjoy it.
I didn't enjoy my
Yeah, I
either.
know, but- And the power of no. Learn the power of no.
Yeah.
No is a complete sentence, as that lady on the airplane said to Lynn.
Or Lynn
Right?
said, or
I don't
Deborah Fine
remember.
said, somebody,
Yeah.
or Lynn's mom, depending on the
Somebody said that.
occasion, somebody
Yes.
said.
Yeah.
something.
I'm getting better at that.
A lot better. I want to know what I want to know. I can't pull it up because it's not going to come up the way I want to. You have you have 3 divisions in your company. Supposedly.
I have 3 different exhibitions that are available
Thank
for booking.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Because the other one is like you help the artist and then you have something
Oh,
else
I see
where
what you're
you
saying. Yes.
help people organize and do whatever. So it's like, and then have a consulting section
Yes.
as well.
Oh, I
So
forgot about that.
tell us about these other 2. Well, I mean, a 3-legged stool is what you
Yeah,
have, and that's a
so-
super stable
Right.
thing. And excuse Megan while she eats some gyoza. Eat something.
Just
You're
eat
gonna eat it. Just
Just
eat it. You're fine.
So when I first left my job, my thought was, I have one
Crunch,
artist.
crunch.
Crunchy.
So,
Thank you, Emily. They're not crunchy, Darren.
I had one artist sign. It wasn't a real show yet. It was just an idea. And I thought, there are so many gardens out there that want to do shows but don't know how. So maybe somebody has an idea or an artist that they love, and I can help them as a middle person again. Like, I'm great with artists, and they can just hire me and I'll work with the artist and get their show developed. So that nobody has wanted that. So
yeah, that's a great idea though. Especially, yeah, if you can take the 2, like if I came to Megan and we said, I've got this thing and we've got this place, we've got this art museum, and we're thinking about doing something like you said, sticky pine cones. And we'd love it if you could find us. Could you do this for us? You know, build these sticky pine cone sculptures or something or whatever. and they come to you with that, and you're like, yeah, I got the artist for you. Her name's Megan, and she does this thing, or can do it and put it together. She's an artist, not a creator. So she could actually
So
do
she's
it.
really difficult.
Right. But you could, I mean, is that along
Yeah,
that
I think
lines?
a lot of times smaller gardens with smaller budgets will try to create shows in-house, and they may try to put out a call to artists. Like, we want a fort show, we're gonna reach out to all the local people. Generally a terrible idea.
Mhm.
But my thought was, I could be the person to do that call for artists for them and manage all of the different personalities when you do a call for artists. Or I have had people ask me, we want a big wow for our light show. Can you find us an artist or an artwork?
Mhm.
Generally, that doesn't work out.
Do you think, I mean, so like the Fox exhibit right now,
Mhm.
when you were thinking about this, did you think, oh, what if we had live music? And because Foxes are so sly, it kind of fits this smoky jazz mood kind of thing. Who could we hire to perform while that's going? You don't do that part either.
I don't.
You could.
I could suggest that.
I
to
know
host
Let's all,
somebody
let's all
who
look
could
at
do
that
that.
guy in the corner.
I think
No.
that could be a great idea for garden programming. They're always looking for ways to program their shows to drive more attendance. But I would not coordinate that for them, sorry.
Just keep your mouth shut.
Sorry.
Okay.
Are you currently looking for more artists to partner with?
Always.
Awesome. So we'll get to how people can reach out to you. There's a guy out there, and he does these, they're so cool. He does these little literally pine cone sculptures with the acorn heads and acorn hats, and he
Cute.
sets them up,
Yeah.
and he does like still shots with in nature
Oh, I've seen those.
and the birds are interacting. Like they'll
Oh,
have a little dude with a sword and
But he puts like a seed on it so that
Seed
the
on it,
bird
so the
comes
bird
to
or
get
the
it.
chipmunk.
It's really cool.
Yeah, I think I've seen that.
I wonder if you could scale up because his stuff would, we got to put you in touch with
You'd have to
him.
scale up the bird too, though.
Or
Or the squirrel.
You could, I know, but you could fake it. I mean, that would be a
We're gonna need a
huge
pterodactyl in here.
Children will be hard.
I know,
Not my
but you've
problem.
seen his stuff. So
You could
it
make the
kind of-
bird.
Yeah,
or the
but
squirrel.
could you imagine walking around the forts
That'd be so cool.
and having a larger size of those soldiers and whatever
Yeah.
playing
That'd
around
be
in
very
that,
cool. Yeah.
or even
Yeah.
the small ones?
That'd be super cool. That's a great idea.
What's the
Yeah.
third leg of because you have 3 legs of your company. You have a third one, don't you? Can't think of it.
I don't even
This is where I
remember.
need a research person. Okay.
Because I've really narrowed my focus.
Do you want to give us your elevator pitch again? Still working on that, folks.
I'm not good at the elevator.
I
pitch.
told Rob to look up this artist. Oh my gosh. Can't remember his name.
Who?
This artist that he makes these really cool sculptures out of nails.
Oh,
Like a full-size bear out of nails.
Out of nails?
Yes. I'm gonna find him right now.
so
That's cool.
exhibition
So
tour
cool.
development, which is what I do with artists,
Thank you.
basically. Yes. I had to look it up.
Had to look at it. So you have glass and flight. What is glass and flight?
Oh, Glass and Flight. There are actually 3 versions of Glass and Flight made by artist Alex Haveri. She lives in Tucson. She's a full-time attorney and artist. They're large scale glass sculptures, mainly of pollinators, which is really popular with botanical gardens.
Oh, cool.
Again, tying into their mission. So she has 2 versions of the same show, and then one called Special Edition, which has some more abstract glass pieces.
And where can you see her exhibit?
So she has a show open right now at the Atlanta Botanical Garden, and another show open at Como Park Conservatory and Zoo in St. Paul, Minnesota.
And you book those?
I booked Como Park.
Como Park, Huntsville, Alabama?
Mhm.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so her shows have been touring for a couple of years now, and I just joined her team about a year ago.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Super cool.
You got a question?
No, I have this artist named Bill Segunda.
Oh, that's a
I
fun name.
told, so we saw him at the Ann Arbor Art Show. My parents purchased they have a mosquito, like this metal
What?
mosquito sculpture that's probably like this big.
Like 4 feet wide wingspan, 5 feet wide wingspan. That's what she's doing with her hands, folks. If
Probably
you want to
not.
see it, go to our
It's a
YouTube
very
channel
large
to see what she's
mosquito
doing.
sculpture. Yes, very large glass wings. It's really cool, and they have it like mounted up on their walls. It's just like this massive. It's really cool.
In the
But-
house, you have a 5 foot, your
I'll send you a
parents have a
picture of
5
it,
foot
yes.
mosquito in the house.
It's really cool. I don't know if it's quite 5 feet.
Because
but it's
mosquitoes
awesome.
that's the majestic insect.
I love it though. I love art made out of something so annoying.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes, but he does these giant
Oh, I was
sculptures.
just looking at that.
Look
That's
at these
super
guys.
cool.
Holy cow, oh, it's a Tin Man.
Yeah, but wait,
Yeah.
It's a troll. And a bear.
bear out of nails.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Oh,
I'm intrigued.
really cool stuff. So, anyways, I told Rob, but maybe he didn't relay that
He
message.
did not.
Dang it, Rob!
It's a lot of it.
I know. How dare you work 6 years a week with us?
in full disclosure, Megan has worked with Rob, haven't you?
Yes, he's one of my favorite people to work with.
He's
Top
done
3.
some things in the film industry, right?
Lots of things. Lots of great things. Very
Did
talented.
you work with him on the Marvel movies
Oh, yeah.
too?
That's where I met him. I met him on Avengers.
Oh,
Yeah.
hey, see, someone did their
Yeah.
research.
Yeah.
At least for, at
Darren's
least,
puffing his chest for anybody that's just listening to the
I am.
podcast.
I was like, oh shit, who's our guest? Oh, it's Emily Exhibitions. Let me scroll through again. I can't remember. So, Flash. There we go.
Okay, I have a question. Somebody is like working their job and they're like, ooh, I kind of don't like working for somebody. I might want to start my own business.
Yeah.
What would you tell that person? What advice would you give them? Words of wisdom.
Gosh. Think really hard about how that business might be successful and what sort of audience is that there out there for the service you can provide. Is it something that exists and is it done well? Or is it something that doesn't exist that people are looking for? I was really lucky in that I knew that people were looking for touring exhibitions and there just weren't enough out there. Yeah, don't leave before you look, I guess.
That's good. You tested the market. You knew there was a need.
Yeah.
There's a niche to fill. That's
Yeah. I didn't know I could be successful at it, but I knew that there was an opportunity there.
What time frame did you give yourself to be successful?
Wouldn't that have been smart?
Great idea, Darren.
I know.
Where were you a year and a half ago?
Another night of curling up in the corner and crying for Emily. We've all done it.
Yeah,
We still do from
I
time to time.
think I had some really unrealistic expectations about how quickly I could make a business like this profitable because I was really excited about it.
Mhm. Well, I mean, from a financial runway,
Mhm.
besides spinning up a really cool website and having legal contracts,
Right.
et cetera, you don't, what else was there for
Not a
you?
lot.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
I mean, your capital outlay was not much.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
you were still contracted with the botanical garden,
Right.
so you had
Fortunately.
some income coming in.
Yes.
Not just, woohoo, we're doing this, and
Right.
guess what?
Yeah.
No money. So at least there's no brick and mortar.
Right.
There's no product or inventory that you're trying to
Yeah.
stock. You don't have an office that you have to keep the
Right.
lights on, so.
Yeah, I think the first test that I passed was my husband and throwing the idea out there, but he is like me and a bit of a dreamer and maybe not as financially practical as we both should be. The second test was going to my dad, who is a retired engineer, very financially responsible. My
A-type
entire
personality.
Yes,
Yeah.
very frugal. And I laid it all out for him, what I was thinking, how I thought it would work, and he thought on it for a couple of minutes and said, do it. So when I got his blessing, I knew it wasn't completely crazy because he is very rational. And if he had thought, well, you're going to starve, or, when I told him in college, I'm going to get a degree in art history.
Oh, bless your heart.
Sorry, Dad.
Bless your heart.
No, he literally said, okay, well, I think you should go ahead and start practicing this phrase. do you want fries with that?
Mhm.
And I was like, I'm not, Dad.
Would you like to
I don't-
supersize
like,
that?
Yeah, I was like, I can get a real job. Okay, so it turned out I couldn't right away. But
And
it's turned out okay.
But had you had a website like Perspective, you could have heard from
Exactly.
somebody else who
That's
worked in
right.
exhibition things.
That's exactly what I needed. Thank God that resource exists.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Shameless plug for me. I'm sorry.
No, it's a perfect time. You
It was.
slid that right in there.
Yeah.
What do you expect? I mean, who are you courting right? Do you have some artists that you're courting
Bill Secunda.
Well, now, yes.
now? Bill?
Yeah, there's an artist in the UK. I saw his work at a botanical garden in the UK and thought that stuff is really cool. So I reached out to his studio and asked for a call to talk about if they're interested in the US tour.
What
And they
about-
are.
Are they?
Well,
Awesome.
we're gonna have a Zoom call in July and just talk about the possibilities and
Think about the logistics. First, you got to just get it here to the
Yeah.
States. Probably have a warehouse to stage it and keep it all in, and then
well, if I'm any good at my job, it will come straight to a botanical
I'll
garden.
bet you're damn good at your job. Don't even say you're not. Come on. That's being
Fingers
humble.
crossed. Yeah, but yes, that would be challenging.
You could do international and vice versa, right?
Yeah, I think so. There's a really famous botanical garden in Singapore, I believe, that just has tons of money and does huge shows, and
I'll be your roadie.
that would be the goal. If I can get
I'll
a
go.
show in the gardens there
Is that like the Shangri? Is that like the ultimate? Do you think if you
outside of the
if you
US.
land something in that garden that's like,
Yeah. I think
That's-
that would be a big win.
oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Someday.
I like that.
What do you do about marketing?
Not as much as I should. Basically email blasts right now are the best thing. I've tried postcard mailers, but those don't seem to be as well received or turn up as many leads. So email blasts right now. I wish that I had time to do more on social media, but I just don't currently.
Yeah.
So next week I'll be at the big annual Public Gardens Conference, just meeting and greeting, and I think
Me
that.
too.
Oh my gosh!
There you go.
What accident?
Gonna get some B-roll.
So I think,
Just have
you
fun.
know, word of mouth is really, the garden community, again, is really small. So if I can put my face to my name and people and just let them know I'm a real person and I'm easy to work with and I can help them, I think that's the best thing I can do marketing wise.
Oh, did that inhale signify another question coming out?
You look like you have
I
one.
hope so. I love your
Yeah.
question.
Question. Okay, so obviously the business that you chose to start is totally in your wheelhouse. But having your own business, there's like all these different aspects that you've probably never encountered before.
Yes.
So how do you manage that? Like, how do you figure out how to do marketing? Like, how do you learn?
You guess a lot. You try a lot of things. I went to a leadership conference a million years ago, and one of the things they talked about there was great leaders never stop learning. So I read a lot of books. I can't think of a single one right now because I don't really think they're that helpful, but I'm still doing it. And the second thing was fail fast and fail often. So that's really how you figure out what works and what doesn't. And you can't be afraid to fail. So
I love it.
get really good at it. Yeah, just
I know you read.
I'm
you read
so
way
good
too
at
much.
failing.
That's so good.
Fell fast, fell often.
Yeah,
Get up, brush yourself off, and get
That's
back
right.
in the game.
yeah, exactly.
As one of my old coaches said, just rub some dirt on it and get back in the game. All right, yeah, that's it. Okay, coach.
Yeah, I think a good example of that when I had my call with my accountant to do taxes last year. So last year was the first time I was brought in and interviewed.
Yeah.
And he said, Emily, who's been keeping your books? And I said, I have. And he was like, yeah, I can tell. Please stop doing that.
I've got a great accountant, and they're my
That's great.
bookkeeper as well.
Like,
too.
no, we're good.
Yeah,
He was like,
well,
just invite me on your QuickBooks. And
there you go.
I talked to an accountant once. It's like $2,500 to $3,500 to get my taxes done. And then I was like, how many years do I have to amend the tax return I did by myself last year? He's like, you have 3 years. I was like, all right,
Oh, wow.
you'll hear from me in 2.5 years.
Right.
And hopefully I have $3,500 for you.
Oof.
Yeah, that's not fair.
Okay, folks.
Yeah.
I can't-
No, I have more
uh,
questions.
No, yeah, go
We have
ahead,
10
please.
minutes left.
No, you're fine with that. I was gonna say, okay, folks, don't listen to Megan's thoughts about
how you do it.
accounting, okay?
That's not how you do it.
I mean, we always talk about tasks and working in your business and on your business. Working on your books is working in it. Don't do it. Hire somebody sooner
Yeah.
than later.
Yeah.
Please ask your next question.
I actually looked up a book for how to do how to do taxes for a Delaware C Corp. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna order this book. It was like $17. I was like, I'll just read it. I don't need to hire an accountant.
Right.
And I looked at the page count. It was like 700 pages.
Oh,
That's only like 1/3 of the new tax code for this year. You're not even there, so.
I read at least 3 books like tax
I have
policies for dummies
A
or
couple
whatever.
great books out there for you.
I mean,
Like Mike McAllowitz, read those books. He'll tell you, don't do your friggin' taxes.
Right. Well, I'm good. Just
And open
invited
up
my account.
17 different bank accounts.
Yeah.
What's your next
The
question?
next question. I just want to know a little bit about Emily. Like, what's your favorite movie? What's your favorite book? What do you like to do in your free time that you don't have
Oh,
since you
man.
decided to start a business?
I like to sleep. I have 2 kids and a great husband, and I love to spend time with my family. So we watch a lot of TV together, and we try to get outside. And my kids are 10 and almost 8, so it just feels like it's going by so fast. So I'm trying to, I mean, that was one of the reasons I wanted to not work for somebody else, because now I pick them up from school every day. They don't go to aftercare, and that's really valuable. So all the stress is worth it, I guess, because I can be around for them and really stress out.
That's a huge thing.
It is.
That's great that
It's
you
all
get to
worth
do
it.
that.
Yeah.
Balances and
Yeah.
and if you get really tired of the kids because they're home during the summertime and you don't have that school time, come to lunch and go where you can work
Yes.
kid free
Oh.
for the day.
It's
Uh,
very nice.
Well, I'm here sometimes.
There's 2 shameless plugs occasionally.
My daughter did want me to mention her. Her name is Caroline, and she is very helpful with the business. She has lots of great ideas for branding and logos and naming shows. So I'm really lucky to have her.
I just got an idea.
Okay.
Okay, what if you took like her drawings?
Yes.
Or Robert's drawings, Rob Jr.
Yeah.
And turn those into giant sculptures.
Oh, that could be fun.
So it looked like kid art,
Yeah.
but like
I like- they
massive
would-
sculptures. I think that'd be
Love
cool.
that. So, sort of a change of subject, but in the marketing for forest forms at the Thorn Bank is a rendering of the artist made a prototype of one of the foxes. And I dropped it into a picture of my kids walking like 2 years ago. So now all the Thorn Bank's marketing has pictures of my kids from 2 years ago. And it's so sweet. And I can't wait to take their picture with the real foxes next week.
I'm gonna do that. I'm taking the picture. Am I taking the pictures or am I
Are
hired?
you? I don't know. I have it. It's on my list somewhere.
Dude, I might be
I
fired.
would never.
Deep breath. Deep breath. Don't
But
grill
you're
her.
busy next
So
week
much.
in Boston. You
Oh,
can't be
yes.
everywhere.
Oh, I know. Right. Okay.
You have to learn how to say no.
No, I will not learn how to say no.
Out there. What, okay, so have you had any artists that have approached you and they're like, I would love, here's my exhibition. And you just look at it and you've gone, no, I don't know where you think the 1970s rusted out
Yeah.
Volkswagen things that are stacked and put up this,
Yeah,
it's not going to happen.
that happens. It happens to me a lot when I worked at the Atlanta Garden. You know, people
Yeah.
are always trying to get their work in there. And it's happened a couple times. I had a muralist approach me about doing a show, and I had to explain that, I do primarily touring exhibitions, and you can't really tour murals. That would be really challenging. But if I had someone come to me and say, I'm looking for a muralist, I said, I will keep you in mind because your work is great.
So you know who your Banksy's one of your guys is in your
Yes, I
pocket?
am
He's
talking
the
to a UK artist studio. That makes sense.
Oh, damn.
Dang it.
He's destructive, right?
No.
Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it.
So you told the muralist.
Yeah, I think, it is very specific, the type of work that will fit outside. That sounds funny, but you can't just put anything outside and have it really be successful or gardens again are looking for a very specific type of artwork, and not everything fits the bill.
Something that communes with nature.
Yeah.
So you can't sit there and like the muralist, you'd go, okay. And he goes, well, if we just built a cinder block wall here and all
Like in
spray
front of a
paint.
prize winning
this."
cherry tree or whatever. Yeah.
Right, you wouldn't do that. But if it was something that went with nature, like
Yeah.
if it was the reclaimed wood or
Right.
from there
Yeah,
and
it's
you
a
did that
story.
and they could do it,
Yeah.
then you could. So
Exactly.
it's not a definite no for you, muralist. You just need to
Right.
expand your horizons.
Right.
Off of
Or
a
there,
wall.
there might be a garden that has a lot of blank walls and needs to fill it. Who knows? But
Hold
in
on
general,
just a
Yeah, but if you
second.
built temporary walls and you did the murals specifically for that
that's
area in the region.
Yeah.
That might work.
What about these trees?
What about?
What trees?
The enchanted tree.
Yeah. What about?
Did you guys already talk about that?
I
Yeah.
mentioned them briefly.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Never mind.
Yeah. They
So
will
cool.
debut in 2025. They are really cool. So next week, if you have free time in Boston, you should go to the New England Botanic Garden because there will be one tree installed there just for the conference as a sneak peek.
Wait, I thought there was going to be a tree at the conference. Oh, there's going to be a tree at the dinner.
There's a tree at the dinner. There is potentially a tree prototype in my exhibit.
Okay.
I'm working on
You're
Yeah.
spilling all the beans for Boston.
that. I see what you did there.
Your face.
Got it? Okay.
So dumb.
Emily, else? Do you have any more questions for Emily before we wrap this up?
No.
Okay.
And it's not because I just put a piece of Dios in my mouth.
No, seriously.
Those are
It's-
some good
it's-
questions. Then.
I'm sure are there any artists who like that you want? Like there are guests that we would love to have on the show. They're like the golden geese. And everybody who comes on the show is amazing that we talk to, and we're fortunate to have them, bless us with their voice and spend an hour with us. But there's those ones that you're just like, if I could get that person,
Yeah.
Mike Rowe, if you're listening, if you could be on the podcast, we'd love it. But do you have an artist or two
Yes.
out there that you're like,
Oh,
do you want to?
I would love to do this to the artist Patrick Shern, who's the artist of the Enchanted Trees. He runs the Poetic Kinetic Studio because I think he has a really fascinating life story and professional journey. His studio is so successful and they're really well known in a bunch of different areas, but he started his career, from what I understand, as a puppeteer in the film industry and was actually worked on the original Jurassic Park. I think may have been in a dinosaur suit.
Shut up. I'm going to move this time.
Where you are.
Oh my God.
So wait a second. When you do this, you want him to be on the
I want to
podcast,
ask him all these questions.
Okay.
Like, how did you get where you are? And
but he's your artist.
yes.
So you work that out. We'll have him on the podcast.
Well, he lives in Colorado. Can he do it remotely?
Of course,
Most of
you
them
could have
are
done this
remote.
remotely.
No,
Okay,
she
so-
couldn't have. How does she drink a
That's
blueberry
true.
mint
I
Cosmo?
know. I could never make
But
this
tell me,
myself.
deliver it.
I do live really close to it.
Right. No, do you have any artists who are your golden geese that you want? Like, if I can get that artist and work with them for their exhibit.
No, I think what's really exciting
That's
for me is finding untapped potential out there, or like the local artist May that I'm working with on Forest Storms, just going to someone and saying, I have this crazy idea, I think your work could fit, and having them be like, okay, let's try it. I think that is really exciting to me.
It's cool because not everybody can take a small fox sculpture and make it 13 feet. Like, it's cool that she
Yeah.
had that ability.
She has that chip in her brain like we have, where it's like, that sounds hard. Yeah, I want to do that.
Yeah.
I couldn't even make this big. So
This
there-
sounds hard and stupid. Let's do it.
so
Right?
you live locally around here,
I do, yeah.
and you live locally, and you have a golf cart.
I do.
So
course.
there's a local artist. He used to be a school teacher, and he's an acquaintance just an acquaintance, but he's one of Ben's neighbors. Look at Brewer's Fire. This is what I got for pickling. I got this stupid t-shirt because I
I
pickled.
get money
Yeah,
for pickling. You should have worked out a better deal.
I know. Damn it. I need to talk to my manager. No, it's so cool. I love this shirt. I will wear it proudly all the time. And the flesh will grow back on my fingers after I sliced all those cucumbers. But he used to be a school teacher and he's an artist. But when you're driving around on the golf cart paths,
Yeah.
look, because he makes all these little goofy sculptures and he
Oh,
hides them
so fun.
around the cart paths. And you're
Nice.
willing to, he's like, yeah, whoever picks them up. He puts them out there for
Oh,
people
wow.
to take them, but also it's like these little nuggets around Peachtree City.
That's cool.
So
I had no idea. Now I'm gonna have to get my golf cart fixed so that I can.
there you go.
Are you guys ever gonna do like holiday shows? Because
No.
I could just picture like.
No. Because they're not fun.
But what if it was a Halloween? What if it was like your house at Halloween, but in a botanical garden?
You should talk to my husband about that.
Like
because
the
I think
trees that he
would love
does?
that. He would love to do that.
That would be so cool.
It's
Rob makes these like creepy tree
Oh,
faces.
so good.
They're so good.
They're
Like
really great. I wish I
all
could
the
find a
trees
picture.
have faces on them.
Yeah.
It's so creepy and it's so awesome.
Oh, good. You have a big ass Halloween party too?
Yeah, I mean, it's mainly for kids, but you're welcome to go.
Why? What around that many children?
Last year, I think we may have had more grown-ups than children.
We figured out our Halloween costume.
I'm bartending this time.
I'm coming.
Yeah,
No, I love this deal. Like, if your house is like with
it's
all
done
the,
up.
okay,
It's really done
Yeah.
up.
definitely. I would love an invite. Oh my goodness.
You're
So
invited.
here's the final question.
Okay.
How the heck do people get in touch with you?
Well, they can go to my website, elementalexhibitions.com, or they can email me, Emily, at elementalexhibitions.com. We're on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. You can find me in all sorts of places.
Elemental Exhibitions with an S.com.
Yep.
Or email you at Emily with a Y
That's correct.
at elementalexhibitions.com.
Yes.
And then find you on the socials.
Yeah.
And we'll put this in the show notes, folks.
Thank
And
you.
if you're an artist, when you've listened to this episode, they can
Reach
reach
out.
out to you,
Yeah,
please.
absolutely. I'd love to chat and see what the potential is.
Oh, that's awesome. Emily, thank you
No,
for
thank
joining us
you.
today.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Emily.
Megan,
Yes.
thank you.
Thanks for the content.
Oh my gosh, you're
So good.
My pleasure.
Awesome. And filling in for Lynn once again. Probably going to need you a couple more times.
Okay. I honestly made these because Lynn didn't have them the last time. Because it was her birthday and she was at the beach or
At the
something.
beach, drinking a bottle of champagne.
I missed it again.
It's all right. She did. She did. So sad. But anyway, folks, we want to thank you as well for tuning in, listening. I always said tuning in. I'm way back when. So old. If you enjoyed the show, do us a favor. Just send us post a review. Say how much you liked it. I'm not pandering for 5 stars. I want an honest review. I want an honest number of stars review. I don't care what it is, but do that and then share the darn episode with somebody else. If you enjoyed it, share it with somebody else who you think would enjoy it as well. And on that note, you know what? We're going to get the heck out of here and we're going to see you next week.
Oh my God. That was really good.